Welcome to Coach's Corner, everybody. I'm Lyndon.
Amy.
And Debbie.
Damn, I was drinking. And this is Coach's Corner, where we help people change their relationship with food and fitness using what we've learned to help all of you live happier and healthier lives. So if you like the video, like it, share it. Don't forget to hit the notification button and subscribe. Too often we feel like when we want to help people, like they're out of reach, you know? So you guys, we do this for you guys. So help us spread the word so that way we can help more people. And we're gonna do a better job ourselves of making sure we intentionally reach out to you guys when we do these so you get to them as well. All right? So today we're discussing community as strength, or the strength of your inner circle. First of all, what's the importance of your inner circle?
I know what you're going to say. I feel like I know what you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
Let's go for it. I want to hear yours.
I was going to say accountability, I think, is a big part of the inner circle.
You got to expand on that. Half of these people here think they know what that means.
Yeah.
But what do we mean when we say accountability?
Well, I think another part of it is like the mirror, like mirroring back what people are seeing. So the accountability comes with, hey, you said you wanted this. I see you walking in the opposite direction of that, or I see you walking right towards that. Like, I see you moving in that direction. I see change. I see you aligning. I think having someone else witness your life.
Sure.
Right? Like,
and tell you what they witnessed, right? So I think
comfortability in telling you that.
Well, I mean, the first thing is setting an actual goal and like sticking to it, right? How often do we, with people in our lives, actually set goals? I think a lot of times we talk about what we want to do, but how often do I say, this is the thing I want to do, hold me to it. No matter what you see, no matter what direction I go, this is what I want, right? Hold me to it, right? So I agree. What you got?
I think the importance of your inner circle is you're only as good as your inner circle.
Expand on it.
I think if you're trying to grow, if you're trying to mature, it requires you to have people around you that not only push you, but are pushing themselves and like really about that. Because what was the quote the one guy said? If you have one bad person in your inner circle, Terry Crews,
one bad person
can be the difference between you manifesting what you say you want and you not. So I think that's the inner strength, is like if you have solid people around you that are also headed towards growth, that are willing to step into uncomfortability to challenge you, then that gives you a chance. I'll say that gives you a fighting chance to manifest what you say you want to manifest. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And to that, I actually think the premise is good. We hear it in like, one bad apple can spoil the bunch. Most of us have heard that our whole lives growing up, but ironically, you don't think about how big that really is until you're an adult and like you become stagnant for whatever reason, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, man, I can't seem to get unstuck. And then you like go to your circle, like, what happens for most people is you realize very quickly, like, man, y'all don't give a damn about moving forward. Like, everybody here is content with where they are, and this hurts. Like, this actually sucks because now I'm having trouble moving to what I'd actually like to do. But again, I actually think what Amy said pushes in the direction of, well, there's a reason why, right? And the biggest reason why is like, have you told those people what you want to do? Because telling them what you want usually creates that separation without having to try, right? Like, man, I want to be $1 million business owner. Talk to your friends who don't want to do nothing but smoke weed all day about building $1 million business for real, and see how far those conversations really go.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like, eventually they're going to be like, hey man, you're always working. Like, you know, and they're going to try to make you feel guilty, which would be the bad apple spoiling the bunch. But ironically, you're the good apple trying to survive in a bad apple environment. Right? It's the opposite. So changing your circle actually can benefit you in ways like if you truly make a promise to self and then ask someone to hold you to the actual thing, then you get to see if what your circle has done or what it hasn't done, right? And shit, I can say that for myself in totality. Most of us don't have one good person that really holds us to our goals. Can you think of one good person holding you to your goals? And I don't mean you two. Can't be you two. has to be someone outside of you, right? Because your relationships are just one part. Well, I mean consistently, right? Like, what's consistency for you? Do you want to be checked on every week? Do you want to be checked on every month? Do you want to be checked on every quarter? Like, what do you want? And how serious are your goals can be a big part of that. Me, it's my $1 million buddy. Sometimes it's Mr. Brown. Sometimes it's Matt, right? I got clients who have become friends. And those friends have become my accountability, right? But even times I will tell you guys what, like, all right, this is what we're going to do in the space. And if it's not done, call me out. Like, that's what we're supposed to do. Maybe I am having a hard time, but ironically, no one cares, right? Like, and when I say no one cares, I mean, if I give you the goal, that's the most important thing. See, a lot of times we hear that, we automatically negative context it. Like, okay, people just don't give a fuck about me. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you have real friends, in spite of everything that you're experiencing, they're actually going to still say, yeah, I get all that, but what about what you said you want to do? See, that's a real friendship, because in those moments, I could lose a friend. Are you willing to risk the relationship for the growth of both of you? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why it can't be each other. Not in the regard we're talking about, right? It can be, you can definitely love each other and hold each other accountable, but in the direction we're talking about, using each other as accountability actually will create more resentment than togetherness, right? Because of how close you are. So unless you are already on that page together, it's a hard page to get to, especially as a couple. So that's why I ask. For me, your inner circle is both of the things you said, but it's also, as I just said a minute ago, it's the strength of self, right? Like, I can't ask a friend to hold me to a space that I haven't been willing to resolve myself to, right? And that becomes like, that friend is just a reminder of my resolve, not the other way around. They're not pushing me to my resolve. They're a reminder of my resolve. Does that make sense? Because only that way do I get to push towards the thing I want. Like I said, I want to be a six-figure business within the first 3 years. We made that, right? Like, how do you do that, right? And think about all the crazy things that have happened to me in these last 3 years, right? Just that you guys know about. Forget the underlying stuff that I don't even talk about. Just think about what you know. It's tough to do it if the excuses are the front of it all, if you will, right? So again, that's why I say it's your inner circle keeps you. Remember, I told you about my friend who came out of town. We ain't gonna talk too much about him. I like highlighting him, but you know who you are because you watch this all the time. So shout out to you. Who came into town and like watched me for like 3 days, right? Really a week, but they watched me for 3 days before we had a conversation, and then said, "Nah, you could do more. You're kind of wasting your time." And we argued. We argued for like 30 minutes. I was like, "You don't fucking know me. I've been going through this, da 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 da." And he was like, "Yeah, I got that. I got that." Yeah, that doesn't change what I said. Who in your life is standing that hard on the resolve and the care of you? Do you value that person? Most of us don't, right? We don't. Like, just keeping it real, we don't, right? We don't value that person at what they're actually valuable for, because at the moment, they're asking for us to become bigger than what we want to be in that moment. Do you get what I'm saying? That can feel painful, because almost you could feel unseen if you're not paying attention to how much they care. I was actually explaining that to my wife. I was saying, finding common ground, which is what I was talking about before the camera was on, finding common ground can actually help you to realize that it's not coming from negative space, right? Because if you think it's negative, then everything is defensive. Everything feels like an attack. So finding that common ground can be helpful there, right? Again, I love my wife. We have our ways of working together, but I have to have someone outside of my relationship that can talk to me about my relationship. Does that make sense? That helps me to see what's really going on. So I think of it like that. Does that make sense for both of you? Okay, cool. So let's talk about the role of community and transformation, because I feel like we have a nice sized community here now, but I also feel like we have communities in our community, and I personally fucking hate that. Like, I'm a big fan of not having communities in a community, but I understand that people are going to gravitate to who they go to. They're going to like who they like, and in my opinion, it's usually the leaders who change that. right?
Yeah.
We have the capability to steer that in a direction or not steer that in a direction, right? When I always talk about, like people always they're like, hey, you see everything. I'm like, yeah, I kind of do, because if you don't see it, then it becomes a problem, right? Like someone will stop somebody in a corner and want to have a 4-minute conversation. I'm like, what was that about, right? Because if you don't, again, let's say I don't say something, then, let's say Dev and client A have a conversation, client B hears conversation, but client B wasn't part of the conversation. Now it feels like client A and Dev have a bond that they don't necessarily have just because of a conversation. So then client B takes what they thought they heard and starts talking to C. Now all of a sudden we got rumors spread. You get what I'm saying? Whether they're true or not doesn't even matter. It just matters that now we're having shit come out because we're not talking about things openly. But let's take a different approach. Client A and Dev have a conversation, and then Devin shares with the whole space what the conversation is about. Well, there's no reason to share unless that person wasn't even there. And now it becomes something different. So when client B shares, client B now knows what the conversation was about, and they're interpreting it to their thing. So let's say client A, B, C, and D were there. Client E comes in, you got 3 people that can co-sign what you said, even if it doesn't agree with client B, who tried to repeat it to E. Does that make sense? If people ain't follow the web, I'm sorry, but it's an easy, but if you look at like how we do things, because people are like, wait, you're always shouting stuff. Yeah, because too often someone will come to me in the corner and be like, no, we're not doing that. We're gonna talk about this with everyone, so everyone gets the result, right? And that includes, it could be about nutrition, right? Sometimes we just make a video about it because, respectfully, you don't even pay for that here, right? So my way of helping you is to give you, or to give to the community the thing that you're seeking, right? And that's me taking time to still help you. You should still feel seen. But if you like one-on-one time, then that's where we pay for it. So that way we can get what we need as far as people and a space, because you are taking away from my ability to help others every time you ask me to do that. It's not respectful of my time. It's not respectful of my expertise. It's just downright disrespectful to ask me to give to you in a way that you're not willing to give to me, right? Reciprocity is the name of the game, is it not? Okay, so the reason why we don't allow people to stop us in corners has to do with that, right? I want people to know, to feel reciprocity, right? Okay, so you pay for that. So I know that's part of my obligation to you. I'm willing to give that. Or you don't pay for that. Well, I'd like to request that my time is valued. Let's talk about how. Then it becomes a real conversation. Yes? Okay, so let's expand on that a little bit, because I believe some of our, let's give a transformation and then talk about how community has helped that person. I'll start because I'm bringing it up. I'm going to use M. M is one of those people who didn't realize how badly they need community. I think she still struggles with it to this day, and she anchors herself to a single individual, and then tries to use that individual to figure out what she's going to do. I don't think that's necessarily bad, but depending on where she is and how much she's asking for, that can be very strainful on that person. So ironically, what's supposed to happen in those situations is the lean on community, right? So, and we've talked about this so many times, right? I've seen them grow tremendously. I've seen her show up, and there's been days where she took a week off or 2 weeks off, and then there's been weeks where she did the workout and just couldn't hold herself together afterwards, right? But all of that leads back to the person that we get to see today, which is more resilient, more powerful, definitely more altruistic in nature. It's a much more together individual because of the fact that, first of all, they were able to cry, right? We gave them the space to process their emotions. And then even more important than that, I think the part that's super important is the accountability part, right? I try not to let my personal feelings get too involved in when I give advice. But one of the things I had to say, just knowing what Em wanted, was, who cares, grind harder, right? And she was just like, what? She had never heard it like that for real. I'm sure she's seen people say it. I'm sure she's seen it on shirts. But I'm like, yeah, again, the abundance of what you have versus what I didn't have and I still got here shows that it's possible. You're just not seeing it. Let's talk about how. Instead of what's wrong, let's talk about how we move forward. That became the conversations, and she's definitely blossomed because of it. So shout outs to Emily. She's not here today. That's who I choose. Who you guys got?
You're looking at me.
You want to go first?
Either one.
I mean, I don't have anyone right now.
Ah!
Same. I'm like going through the Rolodex.
I should
feel
have chose someone more less known, I guess.
No, I think listening to you talk, I was thinking more about myself.
Shoot.
I think being in community for me has put me in spaces where I am, leaning on people more or being more open about who I am, more authentic in the community. So I think the transformation that I've felt in this community is being able to be seen, to be more authentic in my interactions and my daily, trying to walk out my values, and not really, having people hold me accountable to that. Being vulnerable in space, crying here, coming in and being like, I don't feel good today.
I hate everybody.
Not
I love everybody.
faking it. I think there's been multiple times that I remember coming into this space and still, training or still being here and knowing that I was going to be a mess. Like, I can't hold it in today. This is what it is. This is what I look like. And,
Sure.
no one's, maybe people feel uncomfortable. There might be some people who feel uncomfortable, but
Good.
I think me feeling comfortable about it was more where I, was working on.
Yeah.
It's like not about how other people feel, but like
and give
me feeling.
Dev some time to kind of think about it. Personally, I think that's a good thing. I think people being uncomfortable because emotions are real and raw is important. How many people avoid real interactions, right? Like they choose these very shallow, very base interactions. Like I'm thinking about one day where John thought he was egging you on, and you were like, I don't need to hear that shit. And I was like, yeah, that's the response you want to give, right? Because the work was already there, right? Like she was already pushing herself, and John was trying to figure out how to help. And I love you, John. Shouts out to you. John's such a bro, right? Like such a fucking bro. Like sometimes what he's trying to motivate a person, but he's missing the person, right? And it's not that he doesn't know Amy, it's just some shit he's probably said to himself in a very hard time, and he just thought that would identify with Amy because of how hard she works. But ironically, Amy's strength comes from a different space. So not acknowledging that has you saying something that doesn't match, right? Yeah. So that's why we said it. You responded. I was like, that was good for him. I guarantee you he went home and he thought about that because we talked about it.
I feel so bad about that too.
Yeah,
like after the fact, I was like, I went over and gave him a hug because I was like, yo, man, I'm so sorry. Like, because I don't usually do that. I would just be like, yo, I hate that you said that, but I'll keep it inside. Like I wouldn't react. And I screamed at him too because I was in the middle of like failing, and I was just like, shut the fuck up. I don't need to hear that shit.
I think it was good for some of the other ladies too, because we had like a separation between 5 and 6 a while back, and some of the, and like Justin and the other ladies like, I just don't feel as motivated. And I was like, well, that's dumb, right? It's dumb to be less motivated because of who you think is strong, right? What's strength really? And again, how's it show up? Right, like that's important. How we view strength, how it comes across, what it means. So I thought it was a good thing. We did have a good talk because of it.
It's good for me because I need to learn how to have conflict like that in relationships with people where I'm like, hey, I don't like that. Maybe I could say it better. But John is he's a great dude, and I love that he's in my life. I love you, John. So thank you. And, I think even after the fact, he's like, no, I get it. It's cool. I'm used to fiery women. And, we hugged.
Yeah,
and
he
I
is.
was just like,
he definitely is. That is a fact.
But that's not necessarily something I use for motivation. Sure. That phrase was something that I used when I was like looking to escape where I was.
Right.
So it brings back not good feelings for me.
Right. It's you feel like a caged animal instead of and for the right person that might be the right feel.
Totally.
Right? Like for the right person, feeling like a caged animal might be the win, right? I love being backed into a corner.
Yeah.
But you guys have seen it. Something will happen where I'm like, I'm not sure if I can do that, and I just start laughing like a fucking moron. It makes no sense that I'm laughing in this moment at all. But I'm just laughing because I'm realizing that my limitations are more mental than physical. So I'm going for the physical limitation, really, but I'm trying to mentally unlock it. That's more what it is. And for me, that just, it brings on the joy of a child to have the ability to pursue that. Like, I'm grateful for movement every day. So for me, that's what that feels like, right? So yeah, it's a heavy topic, but ironically, I think most people don't understand the true capability of inner strength and respect when it comes from different space. I think a lot of us only respect how we see it, which is why, like, if you talk to the fellas, they really do. They're like, Lyndon's strong as hell, da 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 da. The ladies are like, no, Lyndon's amazing. That's it, right? But you notice I don't lift, I don't show off. I only lift to show off when we're actually working out, right? And like, Garth's got to be in here. Someone's got to be pushing me to do more than I want to do for me to be like, I'll show off a little, or there has to be some reason for me, right? If I'm working by myself, I'm fucking dying in a corner. It's way different, right? And it's like that. You have to know who you are in certain seasons so you can be a better person, for sure. So yeah, shouts out to John. What you got?
Dang. I could only think about myself since you. Yeah.
Shoot.
How's community helped me? I think, and I'm open to your guys' interpretation of this.
Yeah,
but,
shoot.
I think for me, it helped me stop running. You know, like
In terms of
running away from those hard emotions.
Okay.
Hard feelings.
Yeah, I saw you finally get into conflict in the 5 a.m.s, like, because Garth's so fucking hard edge, you have no choice but to like stand on what you believe when talking to Garth, right? Like, and that was, I was like, well, you both of them motherfuckers wrong, but at the least you were standing on what you believed, right? And it was just like, you were having the same conversation.
I was talking about months ago.
Months ago. This was months ago. Yeah, this was a while ago. But you guys were talking. It wasn't even like a big deal, but you could tell it was two different sides of the thing. And you were both like, nah, it's my side. Nah, it's my side. I was like, both of y'all are right and wrong at the same time. Because it's really this, but this is where you're coming from. And then it was like a whole conversation. And me and Brown laugh about those moments because my experience helps me see that. Right.
See, and those moments I'm actually used to because those moments feel like debate team to me, and I love debate team.
Okay, so what moments are you referring to?
I'm referring to the moments of how what I do lands for other people.
Okay.
And if it lands negatively, a lot of the time I used to run away.
Or justify. I've heard you do that a lot.
I mean, I'm justifying. I'm justifying now because I'm not running away. So that's like.
Okay. All right.
You know.
Okay. That makes sense.
So like, I would have been gone. I would have just been like, I don't need to explain myself.
Fair. That makes a lot more sense. I'm glad you said that because that helped explain things even for me, like watching you do things. You know, because I'm your mentor. So like watching you do stuff, you'll be like, that is fucking dumb. And then you'll do it, and I'm like, oh. It was like Sunday when you were like, I'm putting this out. I was like, we don't do that. You were like, I didn't. I was like, oh, because before I'd have just been like, come here, motherfucker. Like, why would you tell me you gonna do some shit? You know what I'm saying? I would become immediately offended. But it was all because like I had this like deep rooted fear, and you could see why. I've gone through like 3 teams before I got to a place where like people listened. You get what I'm saying? Again, partially because of me, but also because of who they were, right? And I didn't respect who they were. I just didn't. I made a large mistake of being like, I know what it is, so just do what I say, right? And it's not wrong to have that mindset, but if your team doesn't match, like if you don't pick the right people, then it doesn't work. I said I want fluid communication, all these other things, and then I'm coming at it with like this militant mindset. They don't mesh. They don't make sense together. So that helps me see like, okay, it's just a part of your growth. So getting you to the next stage would be good. So talking about it, I know I'm like kind of taking over what you were about to say, but talking about it, explain that, right? Because I think a lot of people misinterpret that. Because I remember watching you go through the running phase. You'd barely say anything. And I remember what your life was like back then too. It is very different now. So maybe explaining that a little. You don't have to explain like your life if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But explaining like what it was like when you were running away and what it felt like in your relationships would be helpful for other people.
Yeah. I was talking with Carol this morning about that kind of.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, I used to have a lot more friends, you know, like and I put quotation marks around friends.
Associates.
Right. So, I mean, I was talking about that with Carol because she was talking about how she had a friend she couldn't. I was like, why don't you bring that up with her? And she was like, oh, I couldn't. And I was like, So, really, I feel like I'm recognizing where I did have friends and I didn't put energy there, and where I was like looking at the people in my life as friends, but I wasn't able to stand ground. I wasn't able to say what was actually on my mind. I was filtered my words through, not wanting to hurt you. And if I did say some shit where you were like, yo, that shit, I don't like it, it hurts, I'd be like, like you might not see me for a week. I got it, and I justify it, in my head, but I would keep it in my head. The justification would be, oh, they need some time to recover from the hurt that I caused, so let me give them some space.